So I just wanted to start this off by saying that I'm aware that this whole video is framed really badly. I adjusted my camera right at the beginning, thinking that, yeah, this will be a good idea, this will look better, and then it didn't. So we can just pretend that I did this on purpose so I could put things on the side of the screen when I need to. Hey, hello, and welcome, or welcome back. I suppose this is going to be a quick little introductory video, something short, something fun and simple. Basically, right at the beginning of the channel, I did a little something called 6 of the Best. It's a service at my local library. It's basically a way to either get books in genres that you've read or branch out a little bit. The first time I did it, I said, go at it, go wild. And the second time, they looked up a little bit what I liked. And also, when I pointed out that I do book reviews, there were 2 people that I was really talking to, and one of them got quite excited. So I genuinely don't know what to expect, other than I'm possibly, ironically, I suppose they are librarians, possibly about to be read for filth about the sort of things that is in my have borrowed list. I will not say have read, because those 2 things are quite different. There's a fair amount more books I've borrowed than I've read. So let's dive right in. First up, The Familiars. This is by Stacey Halls. This was the only one that I found out about beforehand, because the woman who handed me the bag, I got a big brown bag full of stuff. Oh yeah, sorry, just remembered. There's actually 7, because she said one of them was quite small, so she just slipped a little extra one in there. But this is local history to me. It's about Gawthorpe Hall, which is not so far away from me. So that's one of the reasons she chose it. In a time of suspicion and accusation, to be a woman is the greatest risk of all. To have a child, she will trust a stranger. To protect a secret, she must risk her life. Lancashire, 1612. Fleetwood Shuttleworth is 17 years old, married and pregnant for the 4th time. But as mistress of Gawthorpe Hall, she has no living child, and her husband, Richard, is anxious for an heir. When Fleetwood finds a letter she isn't supposed to read from the doctor who delivered her 3rd stillbirth, she is dealt the crushing blow that she will not survive another pregnancy. Then she crosses paths by chance with Alice Gray, a young midwife. Alice promises to help her give birth to a healthy baby and to prove the physician wrong. As Alice is drawn into the witchcraft accusations that are sweeping the northwest, Fleetwood risks everything by trying to help her. But is there more to Alice than meets the eye? Soon the 2 women's lives will become inextricably bound together as the legendary Pendle witch trials approach, and Fleetwood's stomach continues to grow. Time is running out, and both their lives are at stake. Only they know the truth, only they can save each other. This sounds like a great shout for me. This is definitely the kind of historical fiction, if I'm going to go for that, that I enjoy. I mean, there's a review, like a short little review from Jessie Burton on the front, who I have. Well, I started reading, I've got it in my haven't read pile, because I got about halfway, 3/4 through, and then for whatever reason just didn't finish it, but I remember really enjoying that. This sounds like it might be kind of similar. If you can hear jingling, it is Lily the cat, who may be... oh, you won't be able to see her because I'm not trying to move my tripod, but she's just happily sat. Hello? You can come in if you like. You wanna stand there and blink and be lovely? That's okay. I'll keep this mostly open in case you want to come in. She's probably annoyed because she likes to sit on my windowsill, but she knows there are other windowsills in the house. So yeah, this certainly sounds interesting, like something I would read. And I know I've said a few times recently that I don't really read historical fiction, but there's particular kinds, and I specifically like very female-centered historical fiction, both meaning by female authors and about women. They just tend to be better because they tend not to be about war, and I don't like reading war fiction. Next up, we have People from My Neighborhood by Hiromi Kawakami. Apologies for any mispronunciation there. Welcome to the neighborhood, meet the neighbors. The small child who lives under a sheet, the old man who has two shadows, one docile, the other rebellious. Two girls named Yoko who are locked in a bitter lifelong rivalry. The people who visit an apartment block and come away with strange afflictions. In Kawakami's super short, palm of the hand stories, the world is never quite as it should be, but you won't want to leave. So I'm assuming this is the shorter one, obviously. I think it's like less than 100 pages, just over 100 pages, and no, I'm only looking at the page number. I don't read final pages or anything like that, just checking, but sounds very interesting. Definitely like something I would pick up. And I mean, I'm going to generally gather that a lot of these are the sort of things that I would pick up, even if I don't read them. Because again, like I said earlier, I borrow a lot more library books than I actually read, which is fine. Keeps the library open because it means there's interest there. But certainly sounds interesting. I'm also really curious to know what I have borrowed that inspires each, that has inspired these, because the first one I've definitely read a few things like that. I mean, most recently reading was it The Doll Factory? There was The Doll Maker and The Doll Factory. Yeah, The Doll Maker was the Nina Allen book, and The Doll Factory was the one I read recently. That is the sort of thing that I have read before. It's got that kind of, and also I have read some historical fiction, but that second one, not sure. I don't read a lot of I don't even know if that is translated fiction, but I would possibly assume so, although I thought that why is my brain just falling out? Kazuo Ishiguro, I thought their work might be translated, but it's not. He is in fact English, just clearly either parents or grandparents, whatever. Next up, oh okay, I certainly have one friend who is going to be quite happy that I'm finally reading this, because I know it's one of her favourite books, or at least it used to be. So The Virgin Suicides by Jeffrey, is it Eugenides? Is that how you say it? All I really know about this book is it was adapted into a film that most people who like the book don't really like the film, but certain type of audience in, like, I would say 2014-15 Tumblr, it was one of those films, in the same way that like 13 Reasons Why and the UK Skins was massive. If you know, you know, and like Lana Del Rey and that kind of thing. If you know, you know. And that is not why I think she likes this book. The five Lisbon sisters, beautiful, eccentric, and now gone, had always been a point of obsession for the entire neighbourhood. Although the boys that once loved them from afar have grown up, they remain determined to understand a tragedy that has defied explanation. The question persists: why did all five of the Lisbon girls take their own lives? This lyrical and timeless tale of sex and suicide that transforms and mythologizes suburban middle American life announced the arrival of one of the greatest American novelists of the last 30 years. Okay, so I only half knew the plot, meaning that I know it was a group of boys who knew of the girls, but I don't know if they knew them. Like, I don't know that. Like, reminiscing about them and kind of romanticizing them. I don't know what happens with their deaths. That might be quite a difficult read for me. Just because obviously general talking about mental health isn't always the easiest, especially when it's like losing a battle to mental health, shall we say. Next up we have Callow Cane by Karen Boy. It's a really cool cover. Looks familiar, but I don't know why. So while I can't actually seem to gather why in particular this cover is familiar to me, I can gather that a lot of her works, this one included, is linked to spiritualism type stuff, and while that's not necessarily an area that I'm interested in, I do watch a lot of stuff about that kind of thing, or about people who use that kind of thing in nefarious ways, sort of cult leaders and that kind of thing. So I'm curious to see if maybe this particular painting has been used, or if I was looking up history of something. Again, what are you meowing at? Oh, hello. You as well. Well, you get cat content today, and no Zelda, because she's running around the curtains being odd. But you do get Lily staring directly at you, which is always nice. A pioneering work of dystopian fiction from one of Sweden's most acclaimed writers. Written midway between Brave New World and 1984 as the terrible events of the Second World War were unfolding, Calo Kane depicts a totalitarian world state which seeks to crush the individual entirely. By the way, Brave New World, expecting the probably quite distant future at this point, something to do with Brave New World, and that's all I'll say about that. In this desolate, paranoid landscape of police eyes and police ears, the obedient citizen and middle-ranking scientist Leo Cao discovers a drug that will force anyone who takes it to tell the truth. But can private thought really be obliterated? Karen Boy's chilling novel of creeping alienation shows the dangers of acquiescence and the power of resistance, no matter how futile. And this is... Hello, I'm trying to film, and you are simply tickling my legs. Do you want to get up there? You want to... Right. She likes it up on my bed, and I'm... Oh no, do you want to get back down? I thought you wanted to sit up there. Oh, girl. Right, I'm going to hold this because I don't know if she's going to jump back down. Are you being cool? Are you going to stay up there, or are you going to get back down? I don't know what you want. Oh, you want to get down? You didn't want to go up there? Are you having a little sniff? Where are we headed? You go. Come this way. If you're going to come anyway, come this way. Right, if she looks like she might just be sitting on the window. That was Zelda, by the way. Well, it still is. She's having a sniff. I'm so certain she's going to knock the tripod over. This, by the way, translated by David Macduff, because with any piece of translated fiction, I feel like there should be more credit to translators. Let me check with this one if it is written in. There we go. So from people from my neighbourhood, this is translated from the Japanese by Ted Goosen, or Goosen, I'm not 100% sure. Girl, why do you look like you're about to pounce somewhere? If you're going to pounce, pounce that way. Okay, next up we have Untold Night and Day by Bei Suo. Apologies for pronunciation. What have you seen? There are like birds that fly around the back of my house because there's a guy on the like other side of... What have you knocked off? There's a guy on the other side of the street, like the back side of the street, that feeds pigeons, so obviously they flock to him every now and again, and I'm sure the cats love it. That was a big yawn. So yeah, this is actually a book that I've been meaning to pick up for a while. A, because the fact the cover is really enticing. I said A as if there was going to be a B as to why I picked this up. and you never got one because it's me and I probably got distracted by something. I believe what I was going to say is that it had been on a shelf in the library of like recommendations with short little excerpts or something, not excerpts, but like reasons why they think you should read it, like a really short review kind of thing. And it did seem interesting, and I've been going, oh, I'll pick it up at some point, and I didn't. But now I have it. A hypnotic, disorientating story of parallel lives unfolding over a day and a night in the sweltering heat of Seoul's summer. For 2 years, 28-year-old Kim Ayami has worked at Seoul's only audio theatre for the blind. But now the theatre is shutting down, and Ayami's future is uncertain. Her last shift completed and the theatre closed for good, Ayami walks the streets of the city with her former boss late into the night. Together, they search for a mutual friend who has disappeared. The following day, at the request of that same friend, Ayami acts as a guide for a detective novelist visiting from abroad. But in the inescapable, all-consuming heat of Seoul at the height of the summer, order gives way to chaos. The edges of reality start to fray, and the past intrudes on the present in increasingly destructive ways. Blisteringly original, Untold Night and Day is a high-wire feat of storytelling that explores the possibility of worlds beyond the one we see and feel, and shows why Bae Suha is considered one of the boldest voices in Korean literature today. That sounds really cool. Do I still have that book? I think I might have got rid of it. A book that I studied, and I got rid of it. Thomas Pynchon, The Crying of Lot, whatever number that is. Book that I studied and wasn't a huge fan of. But I think that's because I didn't have enough time to digest it. And because with these, you'll just be seeing them in the future. I'm not trying to pump out a book a week or anything with these. I'll read them when I read them. I think I'll be able to digest this a bit more. The Wolf and the Woodsman by Ava Reed. This seems like something that I can't tell if it's for somebody a bit younger. But it has that look of something like read a book earlier this year, the one that was about Baba Yaga. It's not coming to me, but I'll put it on the screen. The cover looks a lot like that, but also covers like this can be for any age. It's like that middle ground, especially when you've got like clear fantasy and folktale elements, because the familiars, obviously that's more witchy, but also is it witchy kind of thing. I assume that's going to be that kind of playing off, is there actually any magic involved? But anyway, back to this. A dark, evocative and unforgettable fantasy debut steeped in Hungarian history and Jewish mythology, perfect for fans of Naomi Novik and Catherine Arden. In her forest-veiled pagan village, Evike is the only woman without power, treated like an outcast due to her corrupted bloodline. So when the soldiers arrive from the Holy Order of the Woodsman to claim the girl for King's Blood sacrifice, Evike is betrayed by her fellow villagers and surrendered. When monsters attack the Woodsman and their captive en route to the capital, they slaughter everyone but Evike and the cold, one-eyed captain. But she soon learns that he's no ordinary woodsman. He's Gaspar Barani, the disgraced prince whose cruelly zealous brother plans to seize the throne and instigate a reign of religious persecution and ethnic cleansing. With no one else to rely on, Evike and the captain form a tenuous pact to stop his brother. As their mission takes them from the bitter northern tundra to the smoke-choked capital, their mutual loathing slowly turns to affection, but trust can easily be betrayed, and as Evike reconnects with her estranged father and discovers her own hidden magic, she and Gaspar must decide where their loyalties lie. I still can't work out what the age range is for with this, because I was expecting that I would perhaps get at least one younger book, either middle grade or young adult or teen. The teen and young adult kind of tend to fit in together, but I'm not sure if this fits into that or if it is an adult book. I suppose I'll find when I'm reading it, because it's like there are certain books that seem simpler, but then they've got a lot more adult themes. So when I first started reading Song of Achilles, it sounded at first more young adult, but as it went through, I'm like, no, it's absolutely not. And that's absolutely no disrespect to the author of that book. I just found that that's how I felt as the book developed, but it came clear pretty quickly that that's not what was going on there. So I'm curious to see how that will go. With that one, The Devil's Advocate by Steve Kavanagh. I think I have something by him. Is it 13? Yes, I have a book by him that I've been meaning to read for ages. So 13, as far as I can remember, is a book where you've got a jury and you've got a person who's on trial for murder, but it actually turns out that one of the jury is the killer or something like that. I'm pretty sure that's what's in the blurb. I could be wrong. We'll get to it eventually. So, a deadly prosecutor. They call him the King of Death Row. Randall Corn has sent more men to their deaths than any district attorney in the history of the United States. A twisted, ritualistic killing. When a young woman, Skylar Edwards, is found murdered in Buckstown, Alabama, a corrupted sheriff arrests the last person to see her alive, Andy Dubois. It doesn't seem to matter to anyone that Andy is innocent. A small town boiling with rage. Everyone in Buckstown believes Andy is guilty. He has no hope of a fair trial, and the local defense attorney assigned to represent him has disappeared. A former con artist. Hotshot New York lawyer Eddie Flynn travels south to fight fire with fire. He plans to destroy the prosecutor's case, find the real killer, and save Andy from the electric chair. But the murders are just the beginning. Is Eddie Flynn next? Certainly sounds interesting. This seems like the sort of crime book where I don't know how memorable it will be, because there are some crime books that really stick with me. So Mark Billingham, whenever I've read his stuff, has really stuck with me. He's got a really brilliant style of writing, and I think a lot of crime books, if you've got the basics right, you know, of being interesting enough, I think a lot of it comes down to how you've written. Well, I mean, that's all fiction, but a lot of crime books can kind of blend into each other. There's a lot of similarity going on, but I'm talking fictional crime here, nothing to do with true crime. And it's often authorial voice that tends to make stuff stick out, unless you're Jeffrey Deaver. The broken window can go in the bin. I'm still annoyed about it. But this seems like it might be interesting. I have said before that I tend to prefer British crime authors over American crime authors, so I'll see how that goes. That's all 7 of my 6 of the best. You will see these coming up in the coming weeks. Like I said in the comeback video where I was doing my little painting, I don't know what order these are starting to come out in, but basically I have no plans of regular Thursday uploads anymore. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I think there's something fun about that. Videos, I think, will always be either on Tuesdays or Thursdays, so bear that in mind. But if you want to be kept up to date, the obvious thing to do is subscribe and hit the bell. That is the most YouTubery thing I could say, I know, but it helps me and it helps you to be able to watch. So let me know if you've read any of these, or if you've been looking to read any of these. That's always interesting. I mean, I imagine certainly The Virgin Suicides is something that a fair few people that I know will have read. It's just one of those books, I sort of know my circles and it just seemed like that. But if you've read any of those, let me know what you thought without giving me spoilers. I will see you all very soon. I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful night, a wonderful whenever you are watching this. Right,